Did you know that 80% of people stop reading a book within the first few pages? That's right. The beginning of your novel is make or break. If you don't grab your reader's attention quickly, they'll likely put your book down and never come back. So, how do you avoid that fate? How can you make sure your novel's opening leaves your readers hungry for more? The secret lies in how you start. A great opening isn't just about setting the scene, it's about hooking your reader, making them need to know what happens next. In this guide, we'll explore 6 key signs that tell you your novel's beginning is on the right track. You'll learn the tricks top authors use to build tension, introduce characters, and create a world that pulls readers in from the very first page. Ready to dive in? Let's start building an opening that no reader will be able to resist. Chapter 1. The hook that won't let go. The opening lines of your novel are your best chance to grab attention. Research shows that readers decide whether they'll continue within the first few paragraphs, sometimes even sentences. This means the first words have to be magnetic. Think of it like a fishing line, your hook should be sharp and intriguing. Start with a question, a conflict, or an image that sparks curiosity. In The Hunger Games, Suzanne Collins opens with Katniss hunting in the woods. When I wake up, the other side of the bed is cold. It's simple, yet it tells us so much about her world, her isolation, and the stakes to come. It makes readers think, what's going on here? I need to know more. Avoid cliches like, it was a dark and stormy night. Readers have seen that 1,000 times and will lose interest quickly. Instead, try something specific, something personal to your main character. The key is to make your readers feel the need to read on. It's not just about setting the scene, but about establishing an emotional connection right away. Also, remember, a good hook doesn't need to be a grand declaration. It can be as simple as an odd observation or a quiet moment that feels off. The goal is to intrigue your readers into asking, why is this important? That's the spark you want to ignite. Chapter 2. A hero, or anti-hero. With depth, great stories don't start with one-dimensional characters. Readers need to meet someone they can relate to, even if they're an anti-hero. Harry Potter didn't start as a hero, we see him as a lonely boy living with his aunt and uncle. His vulnerability is what pulls us in. When creating your protagonist, show them in action. What do they want? What's at stake? In the opening of The Great Gatsby, F. Scott Fitzgerald uses Nick Carraway's voice to make him a compelling narrator. From the start, we know he's reflective, and we want to understand why. We also learn just enough about Gatsby to make us curious about his mysterious persona. The trick is to offer a glimpse of their internal conflict. Show them wrestling with an issue that speaks to their core, whether it's fear, guilt, or ambition. When we see the complexity in their struggle, we connect. Even if they're a villain, we should understand their motivations and see the world through their eyes. Make sure to add layers to your character right from the start. The more three-dimensional they are, the more readers will want to follow their journey. A simple yet effective way to do this is to show your character making a choice early on, one that reveals a lot about who they are and what they value. Chapter 3. Setting the stage without overloading world building is essential, but there's a fine line between intriguing your readers and overwhelming them with unnecessary details. In the opening of The Martian, Andy Weir doesn't dump a massive description of Mars. Instead, he lets us know Mark Watney is stranded by showing his resourcefulness and humor, all while subtly painting a picture of the harsh environment. Think of world building as seasoning in cooking. A pinch can bring out flavors, but too much can ruin the dish. In your opening, drop enough details to hint at the world, but leave some mystery. You want your readers to picture the setting without bogging them down in excessive descriptions. One strategy is to weave world building into the actions and dialogue of your characters. In Dune, Frank Herbert reveals the vast desert planet, Arrakis, through the experience of the characters, not through heavy exposition. Readers are shown the environment instead of told about it. This keeps them immersed in the story rather than distracted by a data dump. Another tip is to introduce unique rules or customs early on. In 1984, George Orwell starts by introducing us to a society where privacy doesn't exist. Instead of explaining everything, he shows us Winston Smith's daily life, which immediately conveys the oppressive atmosphere. The goal is to establish the tone and stakes of your world without losing the emotional connection to your characters. The setting should support the story, not overshadow it. And if your world has unique aspects, like advanced technology or strange creatures, give just enough details to make it feel real and lived in. But don't explain everything. Trust your readers to pick up on clues as they go. If you're finding these tips helpful, make sure to subscribe for more. Stay tuned for Chapter 4, where we explore how to create the perfect conflict right from the start. Chapter 4, The Unspoken Promise of Conflict. One of the most crucial things a good beginning does is hint at the conflict to come. Conflict is the engine that drives your plot, and even in the first few pages, readers need to sense that a storm is brewing. But here's the thing, conflict doesn't need to be loud or obvious right away. It can be subtle. In The Catcher in the Rye, J.D. Salinger doesn't throw a huge external battle at Holden Caulfield from the start. Instead, we see his internal turmoil, his dissatisfaction with the world, which is the heart of his conflict. A great opening drops clues that let readers know trouble is coming, whether that's through hints in dialogue, a character's unsettling behavior, or an unusual event. In The Shining, Stephen King gives us a sense of impending danger almost immediately. We don't see the full picture, but the eerie mood tells us something is off. This builds tension and makes readers want to know more about what's going to happen. Conflict doesn't have to be about big battles or dramatic moments right away. It can start small. A character's frustration with their situation, a question they need to answer, or an obstacle they can't yet overcome, these are all seeds of conflict that will grow as the story unfolds. Early signs of conflict hook readers and give them a reason to stay invested. By teasing conflict in the opening, you're not just creating suspense, you're making a promise to the reader. You're telling them that things are going to change. The promise of conflict, even if unspoken, gives readers a reason to keep reading. The conflict may evolve over time, but the anticipation of it begins from the first pages. Chapter 5, The Subtle Art of Pacing. Pacing is one of the most underrated aspects of a great opening. It's easy to rush things when you're eager to tell your story, but a strong beginning takes its time. Pacing doesn't just mean how quickly or slowly things move. It's about when you give the reader a chance to breathe, when you build tension, and when you drop crucial information. In The Girl on the Train, Paula Hawkins takes her time. She lets us experience the protagonist's confusion, her flawed perception, and her disconnection from reality before she thrusts us into action. By taking the time to let us live in Rachel's shoes, Hawkins builds a connection with the reader. We're not just watching a story unfold, we're feeling it. A great way to manage pacing in your opening is by balancing fast and slow moments. The fast moments bring action and excitement, while the slow ones deepen the character's thoughts and emotions. Think of pacing like a dance. It's about knowing when to slow down and let the reader reflect, and when to ramp up the tension to push the plot forward. Don't forget to drop hints throughout that tell your reader where the story might be heading. In The Hobbit, J.R.R. Tolkien doesn't give us a full map of Middle-earth in the first few pages. Instead, Bilbo Baggins' uneventful life is interrupted by the mysterious arrival of dwarves. This foreshadowing lets us know that big adventures are coming, but it doesn't rush the journey. Finding the right pace for your opening means knowing when to introduce new information. Too much too soon will overwhelm your reader, but a carefully measured flow will keep them intrigued and on their toes. Chapter 6, Leaving them wanting more. A strong opening should spark curiosity and leave the reader eager for what comes next. In the Da Vinci Code, Dan Brown masterfully sets up a mystery. He opens with a murder, a cryptic message, and a chilling scene. But he doesn't explain everything. Instead, he drops just enough information to make us wonder, why is this happening? And, how will this all unfold? The key here is to present just enough to create a need for answers. Leave your readers with questions that only the next chapter can answer. In The Secret History, Donna Tartt opens with a strange, almost eerie event, a murder among a tight-knit group of students. The exact details aren't clear at first, but the mystery is enough to pull readers in. You don't have to give your readers all the answers in the beginning. In fact, you shouldn't. Think of the first few pages as a promise of things to come. If you can leave them wondering, they'll want to keep reading. Don't give away the whole plot, just offer enough to hint at the bigger picture. This can also be achieved through unresolved character questions. In The Fault in Our Stars, John Green introduces Hazel Grace as a teenager dealing with cancer, but we're not immediately given all the details about her struggles. The mystery of her emotional state and her relationship with Augustus leaves readers invested in their journey. An opening that leaves your readers hungry for more creates an irresistible sense of anticipation. When you can spark their curiosity without giving everything away, you've hooked them for the long haul. Every page turns into a quest for answers, and that's the kind of tension that will keep your readers glued to your novel. Thanks for reading. Don't forget to subscribe for more tips on crafting a novel that hooks readers from the very first page. Your novel's beginning is your first chance to engage readers on a deep level. By teasing conflict, carefully pacing your story, and leaving them with questions, you're creating an opening that promises a rich, compelling narrative. Whether it's through mystery, character depth, or emotional connection, make sure your first few pages lay the groundwork for a story that will leave your readers wanting more. Keep it intriguing, steady, and thought-provoking, and you'll be well on your way to crafting a promising novel.